basically, I think I'm going to ask all 4 next speakers to be here. So you be seated, and as you're done, the next speaker will come. So let me welcome to the stage Brennan Lowry from Akola Project, Chris Folayan, the CEO of More for Africa, Robin Smith, founder Next Phase Foundation, Mr. Chike Nwaofia, founder Silicon Valley African Film Festival.
Like Toyin said, my name is Brennan Lowry. I'm the Chief Operations Officer of the Akola Project, based in Dallas, Texas. I've been working in East Africa for about 3 years now. This is my first time working in Uganda. I just started with the Akola in January. And I actually, going to pause for 1 second. If we can hit the video first, that's our Akola history, and then I'll jump into the presentation.
Akola means she works, and we are a full impact brand devoted to empowering women in Dallas and Uganda to become agents of transformation in their families and communities through the production of our beads, the assembly of our jewelry, and the distribution of our product line. As a nonprofit, 100% of our profits from partners like Neiman Marcus are reinvested in our social mission.
Before I came to Akola, I had been in my addiction for a little bit over 25 years. And today, I am clean and sober. I am really loving my life.
Women who have never been given opportunity are becoming leaders and change makers in our business.
If somebody knew where you came from, but they seen something in you that you didn't even see in yourself, that's a big impact.
It's a story of hope.
Akola has helped me design my story.
This video is actually, I want to say it's probably 4 or 5 minutes long, and it generally goes through our history. My team condensed this for the presentation, so there wasn't as much history in there as I wanted to tell you about. But Akola operates in Uganda and in Dallas. We operate in Jinja and surrounding villages. We started in 2004 with an orphanage project, I'll tell you that. Our founder, Brittany Underwood, had gone to Uganda one summer in college. She was teaching English in a boarding school, met a woman in her home, Sarah. Sarah had several bamboo mats rolled up in the corner, and Brittany started engaging her in conversation and said, you know, what are these mats? What are they for? What are they about? And she said, well, these are the mats for the children. And Brittany said, the children? She said, yes, we roll these mats out in the evening, and this is where the children sleep. And Brittany said, well, you have a lot of mats. How many children are you caring for? And she said, I'm caring for 24. I'm caring for 24 orphans in my home right now. And as they started talking, there obviously was a need to provide shelter and to provide a better environment for these children to be raised and cared for. And I'll tell you, Sarah was actually really proud that no child had died of malnutrition while they were in her care. And so in that conversation, we started to sense and see what many of you, I think, have sensed and seen, and we've talked about today, but just the spirit of a desire for more. And we started, like I said, with this orphanage project, thought that would kind of be what we would do. And over the course of a couple of years, we built an orphanage, we dug some water wells, we built several roads, and then the trajectory of the organization changed 3 years in dramatically. Akola exists now as a full impact jewelry brand. We are I use the term, we're a nonprofit fashion brand. We are one of the only in our space. We have a mission statement similar to many of yours. We empower women to be agents of transformation in their communities and in their families. I'll add that piece there. You see from the video, Akola means she works in the local Ugandan language. Akola is currently has been featured in WWD, Fox Business, Vogue, on Forbes, InStyle, and Yahoo. We like to use the term profits with principles. Purpose first is not a trend for us. We saw a need, wanted to meet an opportunity, started to create jobs, developed a jewelry brand, and over the course of 10 years have built this nonprofit fashion brand that is now in a number of retailers around the country. Oops. Again, full impact. One thing that I love about our organization is that every moment and every part of our supply chain offers jobs to anyone that needs it. We chose jewelry in 2007 as a way to create, like I said, jobs and opportunity for this group of women, because we could teach a skill, we could source local materials in Uganda, we could teach them to assemble products, and then we distribute them out of our Dallas office as a second chance job program with women in Dallas. The raw materials that we use: paper, beads, horn, metal, bone, glass, and leather. Like I said, many of these are sourced locally. I was working in Rwanda prior to working in Uganda with Akola. And in Rwanda, we are limited on resources and limited in the resources that I need to operate a different factory. And in Uganda, we are able to do this. This is huge for us. It's huge because we can keep the money within the country, keep the economy moving, and work with local materials. There's no I need to wait 1 or 2 weeks for X to be imported from another country. I've got it here and can use it and keep our production going. The Akola brand is 100% socially reinvested. Our supply chain gives work to women in need. We are 100% social impact through comprehensive social programming. I'm on the business side of our organization, and I have a partner that focuses on impact. I focus on finding orders and finding retail partners so that we can grow our business, while she makes sure that we have enough women to fill that demand, and the cycle continues in that format. 100% of our revenue is reinvested in our mission to empower women. We are 100% no handouts and 100% transparent. We have now 551 women in Uganda that we employ. We started with 15 10 years ago, 551 now. 256 of those women are our home workers that make beads in their homes while they're caring for their children. The first of the month, the beginning of the month, I should say, we have a bead drop-off, and these are the women that are returning from 4 weeks of making beads in their homes, and they're dropping them off with our management team. In 2015, we had a woman at the Bush Institute in Dallas say to us, "We love what you're doing in Uganda. We see it. We're inspired by it. Would you ever consider doing anything like that in Dallas?" And we thought about it and said, sure, like, of course, we could certainly do something in our own backyard, but I'm not exactly sure what that would look like. The actual structure of the model is a little bit different, but we started with these 7 women who were very honest to say there's a gap here in our own backyard. We have a number of nonprofits that we are plugged into. We are meeting a number of social needs, and there's a number of social programs that are helping us. But we would really like to work. We'd really like to generate some income while we're getting back on our feet. So here's a model that started in Africa, started in Uganda, tweaked a little bit, and came to the US. Pretty cool. In Dallas, around the same time, Neiman Marcus came to us and said, love what you're doing, fascinated by the jewelry that you're making. Could you make jewelry at a Neiman Marcus price point and be able to sell it in our stores? That was in 2016. We just shipped, I believe, our 5th order to Neiman Marcus, and are really proud about that. Just going back 1 second to the assembly, in the model, all the raw materials are made in Uganda. They're shipped to Dallas. Necklaces, bracelets, earrings are all assembled in Dallas, and then I'll go on to Neiman Marcus. So it's the whole chain is impacted and connected. Our distribution center runs out of our Dallas office as a second chance job program. You saw Annette, she's the woman on the far left in the video. She has a story to tell, and a pretty powerful story. She and Stephanie next to her were 2 of the first women that came through the Akola program in Dallas. The 2 of them, along with another woman named Valerie, have now been promoted into permanent positions at Akola. We are committed to impact. A few highlights. In over 10 years of making jewelry, 100 new businesses have been started in and around the Jinja area with Akola income. 1,700 children have gone to school, and a number of our Akola women have been promoted to leadership roles in our organization. We want to be a new kind of brand. We are all about social impact. We say we are, that Akola products are made by women in poverty. I actually think it's made by women coming out of poverty is the appropriate phrase, because that's really what's happening. Like I said, 551 women, in Uganda, over 98 women in Dallas, 98 at the moment, and growing. So these are the faces of a cult. That's us in Uganda. Thank you so much.
I think I'm just going to jump right into mine. So my name is Chris Folai. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Mall for Africa, and it's good that some of the people in here have actually used our platform. And I'll talk about our platform and what we do in a second. But just by a show of hands, how many people here are going back to the continent or have been to the continent, and every time they go, they're asked to bring stuff over? Yeah, exactly. Now, that's why I started this company, because of that. This is what happened. So, very simply, I kept going back home. I'm born and raised in Nigeria. Every time I go back home, I get that long list. I find out about cousins I didn't know I had. I find out about neighbors I didn't know I had. People who knew my mom when she was a kid. My mom didn't even grow up there, so that's a problem. You know, so there are many of these stories that I kept on finding out. And then anyway, so at the end of the day, I ended up going to the airport, 10 suitcases. This lady at Delta looked at me, she's like, you ain't getting on this plane. And I was like, what's happening? She said, Nigeria, right? I was like, I said, yeah, I'm going to Nigeria. How did you know? You know? And she said, you're not getting on this plane. Like, why? You know, I need to get back home. And then she looked at me, she looked at the suitcases, you know, she did that nice, you know, all that good stuff. I was like, okay, lady, tell me what the problem is, because I'm willing to pay for the extra luggage. And she said, okay, maximum is 3. If you're in first class, it's 4. We can do. You have 10. It's like, you ain't getting on this flight. So that was the beginning of my journey to start Mall for Africa. So I don't have this, you know, it just came to me at night, blah, blah, blah. This is really because I couldn't get on my flight. And people were really ticked off when I didn't go back home with their stuff. I'm like, well, I didn't even make it back, so why are you getting mad at me? But they were ticked off, so, you know, story goes on. And then, you know, so came up with the idea, drove back with all my luggage, drove back home, did not get on my flight, so she was right. I was not catching that flight. Went back home, started, you know, thinking of the idea and, okay, what can I do to get things going? And that's how Mall for Africa started. So what we do is we help US and UK retailers sell into the continent or onto the continent without any risk. So I know a lot of people are talking about stuff coming out of the continent. I'm talking about stuff going in because there is a need for some stuff to go in also. So we help retailers sell into the continent. We take care of everything from clearing, you know, foreign exchange issues, marketing, and so on and so forth. And in fact, when starting up a business like this, one of the very first things you think about is, how am I going to ship the items there and get the items passed through customs and all of that? And for the first time since we've started this company, the person who I sat down with the idea is actually here. And he's right there, Chesson. Thank you so much for helping me start this company. So without him, this company would not exist. So we sat down, we talked about it. I have a software background, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've exited 4 companies. This is my 5th. And you know, the whole idea of this one is to try and see how we can help retailers sell into Africa and understand that Africa is open for business and we're ready to shop. And you can sell your products into Africa without worrying about fraud and, you know, scams and all of that stuff. We take care of all of that stuff for retailers. So how big is the consumer space? You can see the numbers are pretty much doubling with these. So Africa is definitely ready to receive products. We ship every single day. We're one of the largest importers of B2C products on the continent, and I'll talk about that in a future slide. But as you can tell, Africa does have money and is ready to do business, and it's only going to get better as we grow. Why the growth in Africa? So why are people buying a lot of stuff from US and UK retailers? I'm going to just focus on US retailers. Many people in Africa, and as you all showed by the show of hands, many people in Africa want US products. We understand that there's some quality to it as opposed to buying stuff from China. We know the brands, we grew up with it, we're very familiar with some of the standards that have been put in place for quality on American products. So many people in Africa really want to get a hold of quality products that they cannot get locally, or if they can get locally, there might be some issues there, but they're really looking for the quality and the ease in which they can buy products. And many companies don't want to ship directly, which is why they use our platform. It's ultra simple for people to use our platform and buy products from US sites. And that ultra ease of doing business for them is something that they really accept and really like, because our platform just connects to sites like Walmart is actually one of the companies on our platform. So you're in Lagos, Nigeria, and Nairobi, Kenya, you want to buy something from Walmart. Even though Walmart doesn't ship directly onto the continent, via our platform, you can buy something via Walmart. On your mobile phone, if you're in Kenya, you can pay with M-Pesa, which you have to, and if you're in Kenya, if you're in Nigeria, you can pay with Naira, so you don't even have to worry about all of that. That's something we do. It's cheaper to buy items directly from the US. If you go to a store in Africa and try and buy a polo shirt, for example, it's probably 3 or 4 times more. So a lot of people gravitate towards our platform to buy products from the US, and that's one of the things I'm pretty much promoting here, is trying to get more businesses to do business with Africa from here. So these are our top exporters, just interesting information. The very first one took me by surprise. Did not think that would be number one starting the company, but that's our number one import, and it pretty much goes down the line. But we've seen a huge sale of baby clothes and women's fashion clothes onto the continent, and it makes sense because there are not that many baby clothes manufacturers on the continent, so it adds up. And if you want to know one of the weirdest things we ship, which totally just is mind-boggling, is gummy bears. Yeah, you say, why do you start your company? What do people ship? What's the gummy bears? I ship gummy bears. More than enough gummy bears to feed an entire nation, trust me. It's ridiculous. But hey, it's whatever you want, we'll ship. So these are some of the things that really show that there's growth. We increased the number of stores by about 35% year over year. We ship over 1 billion products every year, and there are things that are being put in place to ease and improve business on the continent. So many of you have heard of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is a bunch of countries have come together and are allowing people to do trade within the continent. So things are improving, not just with relationships between us shipping products onto the continent, but even within Africa, there's a lot of growth that's happening there. And if you haven't heard about the African ACFAT, if you haven't heard about that, please do some research, because it's something that I think as an African, as Africans, we should be very proud that that's been put in place, and many countries are beginning to sign up to that. These are the countries we are actually involved in with Mall for Africa. We have 2 platforms, Mall for Africa and Mall for the World. Mall for Africa does these 15 countries. Mall for the World, we do 100 countries. And that's a separate topic. But with Africa, these are the 15 countries that we sell into. We do very well in these countries, and some of them have issues here and there, but we do feel that targeting these markets, we can definitely help US manufacturers and US businesses penetrate and get into the African market and understand the African market extremely well. So if you want to expand your business onto the continent, please talk to me after this. And we're also doing the reverse, which is helping businesses in Africa do business here in the States and in the UK. So people have been saying, okay, you're bringing stuff in, how can we do it the reverse way? So we're going to be launching something in partnership with DHL, where we're going to help people on the continent. We're going to provide them with a platform. We're calling it Marketplace Africa. So just think of the Alibaba of Africa. Everything on Alibaba is an Asian products. Everything on our platform will 100% be African made. So we're going to be launching that in partnership with DHL. So please look forward to that. And hopefully we can help a lot of African businesses thrive and finally get a massive, massive, massive stage for their products. I believe that's my last slide. And thank you very much. But before I go, 1 second, sorry. 1 second. So I just want to say a big thanks to Toyin for putting this on. She spoke to me about this long time ago. I met her at the African Diaspora Network a few years ago. Walmart connected me with her, and I just want to say thank you so much. You are an inspiration. Not everybody on this planet thinks of an idea and actually does it and tries to bring everybody together. So there was a special slide in here because I really just want everybody in here to say thank you to Toyin, because without her, this would not have happened. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am Robin Smith, founder and CEO of Next Phase Foundation. Next Phase Foundation, we established 2 years ago next month. We started as we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We started with the desire to be able to provide creative STEAM education opportunities to marginalized populations here and abroad. We started here with NASA. We partnered with NASA early on to provide 2 NASA patents for commercialization. We took those patents to a high school here in the state and asked them to gather up 2 teams to see what they could do to take some of these old NASA patents and turn them into something for commercialized sale. The 2 high school teams did really good. Not great, but good. So it was a really cool pilot project to be able to work with NASA. But outside of this, I've worked for probably 15 years now as a journalist and consultant. So obviously my strong suits are research, reporting, and development. As a consultant, I was doing some work over the last 3 years, I guess. I'd done some work for a grain trading platform. Just as a consultant, I'm not sure where they are now, but in any case, I'd made a lot of connections here in Europe, in Africa, because that was a passion of mine, was to be able to eventually move our initiatives at Next Phase into Africa through partnerships in high schools here and in Africa. But so I'd made a lot of connections toward that, and I had an attorney colleague of mine out of Israel reach out to me in November of last year and say, Robin, do you think you can find me 100,000 metric tons of non-GMO white maize? Well, yeah, I'm no longer with the company that I was with when you and I first spoke, but certainly I'll do my best. So I picked up the phone, picked up my WhatsApp, picked up the Skype, reached out to African Agribusiness Incubator Network out of Kenya, and he connected me with a young woman out of Kenya who does grain trading. So I was able to get the grain, but my focus had gone back to Next Phase Foundation. So when we were in the process of trying to negotiate commissions and things like that, that's not really my thing. That's not my thing. It's just not my thing. So I told my colleague in Israel, I said, just pay me what you think is fair, and we'll figure out a way to put that back into the community that we're getting the supply from. Because again, like I believe it was Donnie Smith said, I don't want to be one of those that is making a profit off the backs of people far poorer and more disadvantaged than I am. So we worked out 3%. We managed to do that deal. Through that, a seed sort of grew with me that we could take, as a nonprofit, Next Phase Foundation, could take that model and move it into a process where our partners in Europe, our partners here in the U.S., our partners in Turkey, could reach out to us. Can you find this? We search it out in communities there in Africa and take our profit, take the net 100% of the net profit that we make from any sort of trade facilitation and pour it right back into that community. In return for our taking 100% of our net profit and doing that, we ask that the supplier put in just a tiny percentage of what their profit is from that sale, put it right back into their community. And we also ask that the buyer take just a tiny percentage of the profit from their resale, put it right back into that community so that we can put together a pot and develop an education program for some of the most disadvantaged but inspired kids on the planet. So we're new, but we're making some progress. We've actually got now, we have a young second-generation miner out of Kenya who we are negotiating a contract with gemstone buyers, major gemstone buyers out of Europe. Right now, I actually, at 5 o'clock this morning, got the latest version of the contract. And what the European buyers are going to buy machinery so that he can increase his production. And they're going to buy, so we're negotiating somewhere between 70 and 80% annual of what his increased production is going to be. And each of us is going to put money right back into that pot. And we're going to go to the Minister of Education in Kenya and say, we want to do this in this community. How can you help us? So our focus obviously is going to be agriculture. It's going to be mining. I'd like to do something in oil and gas, but that seems ambitious. But that's, that's our goal, is to be able to everyone make a little bit of money, everyone progress, certainly, everyone have an option. Your African suppliers have an option to be able to supply anywhere in the world they want to go, and it enhanced their community. We want the elders of the community to have a hand in developing these educational programs so that they embrace that, and because if they feel like they have an ownership in it, they're gonna pass that excitement and that enthusiasm on to their kids. But so that's what Next Phase Foundation does, and like I said, we're brand new, but we're getting there. The model's coming along. So thank you.
Good afternoon. Okay, we got to do better than this. My name is Chike Nwofia, and just like everyone, I don't think we can thank this young lady here, this teenage lady, enough for bringing us all together. Just like everyone has said, it takes guts, but it's with guts that you really have to succeed in this life, or in this journey that we call life. One of my favorite poets, a Ghanaian poet, Kwesi Brew, has an interesting short poem that he wrote. I mean, he's been gone now for about 10 years, but he said something about, we have come to the crossroads, and I must either leave or come with you. I lingered over the thoughts, but in the darkness of my doubts, you lifted the lamp of love, and I saw in your face the road that I should take. That poem resonates so much with me because, yes, he talks about love, but it was all metaphorical. Life is about crossroads, where you encounter doubts, but then you have to figure out a way to find the road to take. But it's interesting because whichever way you go, there is no failure as long as you take that step. There could be lessons learned, but taking the step in itself is the very first step to success. Today I'm here to share with you, because we don't have a lot of time, on I'm here to share with you what I call Africa through another lens. We have listened to incredible presentations, and we will keep listening to incredible presentations for the rest of this conversation we are having this weekend. One thing, if you really think deeply, that is underneath a lot of this stuff is all about stories. I run a media company. I've been fortunate. I live in California. I'm in Silicon Valley. I've been there for almost 30 years. Yes, I got there at the age of 2 now. But I also run a company based in Nigeria as well as in Cape Town in South Africa. And my business is media. We create stories. We shape stories. And we know the power of what we do. And I think I was having dinner the other day at the introductions, and I said something which I try to call attention to, that we all hear this saying every day, most of the time, that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And it is true. And so if you put on a picture, you could equate the story in that picture to 1,000 words. That's a full-blown essay. But in my world of film, 1 second of film is actually about 30 pictures, sometimes 24 pictures, depending on what format you're shooting. So if you imagine that one picture is worth 1,000 words, then you can begin to fathom what 1 second of film is worth. So how much information you're getting from there. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is there. And then when we craft the film and turn it into a full-blown 90-minute film, we're talking 1 second of video. Now you're talking about 90 minutes of so-called entertainment. You can begin to understand how many textbooks or books we've given you to read, and how that shapes your understanding of who you are, where you are from, and where you're going to. I say that because the Silicon Valley African Film Festival was started pretty much based on that. For far too long, the story of my people, the story of Africa and Africans, have been told through lenses that are so far removed from the continent that it has led to historical distortions that have blurred perceptions and interpretations of Africa and Africans. And I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. That there is a certain sense of a Tarzan narrative of Africa. There's a National Geographic narrative of Africa. And my apologies to some of the NGOs in the House. The new thing now is an NGO narrative of Africa, but they all run across the same trajectory. Africa on its knees, Africa begging, Africa sad, desperate, and in total need. So we felt that all across the continent, there are content creators that are telling Africa's stories, good, bad, ugly, whatever way they are, but telling it from a place of truth, telling it from a place that is theirs to tell. And like we say, until the lion learns to talk, The story of the hunt will always glorify the hunter, because the hunter comes out of the bush and tells you these incredible tales. Only if we could ask the lion what really happened in there. But we do know that the African lion is not only talking, but is now roaring. We are now able to tell our stories. We are now able, thanks to technology and formats of distribution, distribute our stories across the world unfiltered. And so we decided to create a platform for African content creators to come to Silicon Valley every year. We're celebrating our 9th anniversary this year, and next year will be our 10th. And we, last year, curated 93 films from 29 different African countries. Stories, short films, long forms, documentaries, animation pieces, and we held conversations around these themes. We're using our film festival as a pathway into understanding, having a deeper dialogue and understanding, and introducing folks about Africa. Because, as someone who also has a business background, it doesn't matter how much your pitch is worth or how fancy your decks are. If the person that is sitting across the table from you sees you as less than, they could write you a check for $1 million and you'll be happy doing cartwheels, but you probably left $49 million on that table. Just simply because that in their psyche, you are just not there. And as it applies to those that want to do business with us, it also does apply to us as Africans. I have the privilege of visiting 20-something countries in the last 3 years on the African continent, working with young people, teaching them how to tell their own stories. But more importantly, what we also need to do is to help tell our own stories ourselves to each other so that our young people can begin to believe again. Because I can tell you, and you all know, for those of you that are from or visit Africa, that when you look into the eyes of some of our youth, sometimes it is absolutely blank. Nothing. The belief in self oftentimes is gone. The belief in their culture and the pride, the feeling of self-worth, oftentimes is missing. And so we need to begin to recalibrate and tell our stories to our young people and let them begin to believe, because therein lies the hope. Because it doesn't matter how many billions of dollars you put in the continent. If the pillars of the continent, the young people of today, do not still believe in who they are and what Africa can be, it's all going to be a vast wasteland. That's the reason why our leaders, when they have a cough, they fly to the white man's country to treat their cough. They have a headache, they fly out of the country. When there is enough resource to build the clinic, it's that same mentality of not believing in that which is yours. It comes from decades of stories that have been fed to us. And so we are working with young people all across the African continent to change Africa's narrative so that Africa can once again become fashioned and branded by Africans, so that when we do believe, then we can invite others to believe. Thank you.